operators simply clicking on the positions of the hands and the feet and the knees and so on, which are those smaller spheres, and then we computed the centre of gravity, which is that larger sphere. And again, another blatant cheat. Although we're drawing those tracks at different depths, of course, it has all come from a single image, so we've simply assumed that the left hand is always, 50 centimetres deeper than the right hand. But that could provide a tool to give a bit of insight, and particularly to compare different jumpers. You can imagine doing this with two overlaid heats and showing the different ways in which the centre of gravity of long jumpers move. So another thing we had a little bit of fun with was diving. We talked to our sports colleagues about what kind of sports it would be really helpful to provide additional analysis for. And the logic went something like, well, first it's got to be a sport that at least British people are interested in. And we had I think it was Tom Daly, a young upcoming British diver who made a big splash in the Olympics, last set of Olympics, and was a big hope for this Olympics. Secondly, you want a sport where the pace of the sport allows some time for analysis. In other words, where there's a natural gap where the pundits in the studio want to sit and talk about something while they're waiting for a set of results or something. And again, diving fits that, because you've got the competitor dives, then the judges work out their marks, and you don't get the marks for 20 seconds or something. So there's that period of time when the commentators need something to talk about. Then there's also the aspect of trying to explain something, that it's a little bit of a black art as to what makes a good dive and what doesn't. So there's various criteria like how vertical the diver is when they go into the water, how much of a splash there is. So we thought, well, those are things that are probably amenable to measurement for our computer vision techniques. So we looked at, again, tracking the camera movement, so we knew the scale of the image. We could segment the diver from the background, particularly given that we've got nice blue water, usually. You can count the white pixels in the image to give a rough indication of splash size, although you need to be slightly cleverer than that because there'll be white coming from other areas. And if you've segmented the diver, you can then start fitting lines to them and work out the angle of entry. So we came up with a little diving tool for that. Licensed it to one of the companies that we have worked with to turn some of this sports graphic stuff into real products. And it was actually used very extensively in the US, and in fact our claim to fame is that lots of people were tweeting about it, including Samuel L. Jackson, who I think said, gee, that splashometer is cool, or something like that. So we now have a new way of measuring how well our research projects work. Forget all this stuff about published papers or commercialised products. How many celebrities have tweeted about that? We often get problems in getting this technology used by our BBC colleagues. They tend to have perhaps a slightly more traditional, presenter-led way of doing it, rather than using technology for technology's sake. But they did use the splashometer a couple of times, but as you'll see in the clip that I'm about to play, it actually came as a slight surprise to the pundit when it was used on air. So I'll play that clip now.
Now, he had some good moments and then some weak moments. So tell me about the good moment.
Well,
the best of them.
Yeah, I think he said that one of his strongest dives until last. I mean, he did move himself up to 7 with a really strong, this dive here, the back arm stand triple, in the pike position. So the splashometer there, the all-important entry into the water needs to be vertical with as little splash as possible. That's where you're going to get the big marks from the judges.
The splashometer to be right down.
Splashometer as low as possible. The first time I've seen that, but it's very good. Low as possible, and vertical entry. And as you see with the graphics there, just marginally short and vertical, a little bit too much splash for the big marks, which we've seen. And then anything far away from vertical, that's when the marks are going to go very low. We saw a few of those, unusually so. And the 25th line dive certainly was very undercut.
Yeah, let's have a look at that one now. Talk me through this one here.
Yes, this is a big dive. It's 3.6 degree of difficulty. Back 3.5 in the pike position. It's just a little bit weak on the takeoff. Look at the splashometer right up into the red.
It wasn't vertical.
He was, yeah. He went in, as often used in the commentary, in a bit of a banana shape. So he's arching in here, which means the dive isn't complete. And the judges.
So our commentator there just about survived not knowing quite what was going to be thrown at him in terms of the graphical analysis tools. So those are some of the